Who is piloting the UAPs or UFOs constantly seen in our skies? Where are they from? Why are they here? How long have they been here? What is their mission on planet Earth? Do they come in peace, or do they have more sinister motives? Join Mad Mark as he uncovers the answers to these questions and many more of the mysteries that puzzle us all on Who Are the Aliens? The history of the Anunnaki on planet Earth. And now, here's Mad Mark.
Today's episode, the truth behind the biblical account of the Watchers. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Who Are the Aliens? The history of the Anunnaki on planet Earth. I am Mad Mark, and before I begin, just a quick reminder to please like, share, and comment. It helps so much. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that hype button down below every time you watch one of my shows. I sure would appreciate it. Also, I am happy to announce that if you are indeed, as I mentioned, watching this program on YouTube, you can right now purchase my merch right here on YouTube. That's right. If they are not already displayed right below, which they should be, but if not, just click the store tab on my channel page and you can check out and order all the shirts that I currently have available. Okay, before we get into today's studies, I'd like to take a moment to thank Wave is Life. She's a music creator, and she has accounts on Spotify, Instagram, and YouTube. She contacted me a few weeks back to share with me a music video that she had created. She sampled me at the beginning of the song and again at the end. And the video shows an AI version of me playing some sort of spiritual video game. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but there it is behind me right now. You can see it's extremely cool. The song is great. She did an excellent job, and I am including a link to the YouTube video down in the show description. So go ahead and cut and paste the link into your browser and check it out for yourself. I have incorporated the video into the AI background, as I mentioned, that appears behind me here on the show. And the cover photo for the video is now my new profile photo on all of my social media accounts, which is pretty cool. So again, a big thank you to Wave is Life. Check her out on Spotify and YouTube. One more topic that I want to comment about is this disclosure of aliens by the U.S. government. I talked a little about my feelings on this on the past episode where I discussed Project Bluebeam. I think at this point that enough UFO researchers and content providers have talked about Project Bluebeam that it perhaps is no longer on the table, so to speak. But that doesn't mean that our government still isn't up to something. Dealing with them is like watching The Wizard of Oz. Watch what we're doing over here. Don't pay any attention to what the guy is doing behind the curtain over there, right? Now, you all know that I record my shows roughly 6 weeks before they air. I've talked about that many times. At the time I'm writing this, only the first round of information and videos have been released, and none of what I've seen was all that impressive. I think you'll agree. But I did hear that a U.S. congressman or senator had called a virtual meeting with many church leaders in the country to warn them of what was coming and to instruct them to begin preparing their congregations. Because, as he put it, they are not ready to hear what is about to be revealed. He told them that these aliens were claiming to be our creators, which, if you follow my show, you know is the truth. The Anunnaki did, in fact, create humans. In fact, I just finished talking about that on some of my last few episodes. So that news shouldn't upset you all that much, unless you're a Christian and haven't heard about the Anunnaki. But here is where you have to closely monitor what they are saying, because this gentleman also supposedly said that these aliens were interdimensional. Now, I'm not saying that the Anunnaki haven't developed that sort of technology over the past 450,000 years, but there is absolutely zero mention of such things in the ancient Sumerian texts. Now, some government officials and church people have been heard to say that these aliens are, in fact, demons. This is completely ridiculous, of course, since I have proven time and time again that there is no Satan and that heaven and hell are states of consciousness, not actual places. But these church leaders see the writing on the wall. Once this information becomes common knowledge, well, basically, their religions are toast. They will be exposed for the lie that they are. And these same religious leaders will stop at nothing to preserve their religions. And who knows, the government might even try to help them. And that, my friends, is where this could all get very dangerous very quickly. If they try to turn this disclosure into some sort of a holy war, it's our job, all of us, to discredit this bogus information and to inform people of the truth wherever we can. I can do it here on the show, but even though you may not have a show, you can still inform your friends and family, especially if they're Christians, and start believing this bullshit about demons. So perhaps the government means well, and all they are doing is presenting us with the facts, and that would be well and good. I'm looking forward to some honesty from our government after over 60 years of lies and misinformation regarding UFOs. But we also have to be prepared for the alternative, because if our own government begins claiming that these aliens are some sort of demons, then we all must stand up and call them out as liars. We cannot allow them to turn this disclosure into some sort of a holy war. It is nothing of the kind. Don't believe that bullshit if it comes. Stay strong, stay focused, and as I've said many times, keep your eyes and ears open. Be wary of any information that doesn't sync up with the Anunnaki truth. And that's about all I can say for now. One last thing before I get to this episode's main topic. As I was writing this script, I was contacted by a couple of my Instagram followers, nay_mar.06 and emmy.cls. They were asking if I could show and explain the purpose for the many hats that I wear on this program, and what other hats that I may have in my collection. And it occurred to me that I had never actually explained why I wear these particular outfits on this show. So I will take a moment and do that now. The reason that I dress the way I do on this program is that I wish to pay homage to the first three civilizations that the Anunnaki created here on Earth. Of course, I am referring to Sumeria, and then after the Great Flood, they expanded to Kemet, Egypt, and the Indus Valley region. So all of the shirts that I wear on the program are basically African/Egyptian. And just in case you're interested, you can find them all on Amazon. But when it comes to the hats, well, I have always been a big hat guy. I love hats. And I have 5 of them that I rotate and wear for the show. The one I'm wearing for this episode, as well as this one. You've all seen me wear that, the turban. Okay. They are both obviously from India, representing the Indus Valley region. And I bought them from a website that sells Indian clothing. Now, these other 3 you've seen me wear on the program. These are all obviously African Egyptian, and they can be found on Amazon. Now, as far as I can tell, nobody is selling ancient Sumerian clothing or hats, probably due to the fact that it no longer exists. As far as the other hats in my private collection, I will try to get through all of these as quickly as possible. I have this one. I call it my Joker hat. Some of you may remember this from my old Mad Mark and Maynard show, if you watch that. I used to do skits on that program where I dressed up as the Joker, and yes, I still have that outfit. I don't know where I'll ever wear it again. Perhaps a Halloween party, I don't know. Then I have this old British bowler, which both Maynard and I wore at various times on that old show. Here's another one that I wore on the old show. I call this the Shadow hat. I wore it whenever I did my imitation of the 30s and 40s crime fighter known as the Shadow. I think I wore this hat once on the old show when I did the sharp-dressed man skit. It's actually an old Undertaker style hat. Yes, I have a dark side. I thought it was cool, so I bought it. Now, these last two are my favorites. They're both 100% leather. This one I had custom made. I call it my Slash hat because it resembles the hat worn by Slash from the band Guns N' Roses. And this last one is the newest addition to my collection. It's a Van Helsing hat. I don't know if I can even get it all in the picture there. Of course, it's patterned after the hat worn by Hugh Jackman in the 2004 film Van Helsing, and that's about it. I also have about 50 baseball type caps that I wear around town or if I'm doing yard work, but it would take way too much time to show you all of those. Okay, nay_mar.06 and emmy.cls. I hope that answers your question. So, now, with that out of the way, let's continue our studies of Zecharia Sitchin's 9th book, The Lost Book of Enki, published by Simon & Schuster in 2001. When we left off on episode 36, Ka-In had been banished from Eridu for taking the life of his brother Ebel. Mr. Sitchin basically spends the next 10 pages explaining the lineage of Adapa, his many sons and daughters over the many years, and eventually Adapa's death. It's an interesting read, so if you care to learn more about all of that, as I have said many times on this show, please read the book. But for our purposes of this program, we now move forward.
It was in the days of Lumak, a descendant of Adapa, that the earth began to warm even more since the end of the Ice Age, and hardships were increasing as droughts beset the lands. But Earth was not the only place getting warmer. Lamu, Mars, was also engulfed in dryness and dust storms. Eventually, a meeting was held between myself, Enlil, and Ninhursag to discuss the cause of these changing conditions. How strange it was that both planets were being affected. We took readings and made observations, and we discovered that sun flares were the reason for these climate shifts. Meanwhile, as conditions continued to deteriorate on Lamu Mars, the Ijiji demanded that Marduk visit Earth to learn what we had discovered. While waiting his arrival, the three of us looked at each other and noticed the age in our eyes. More than 100 shars have passed since I first landed here on Earth. I was the first to speak. I was a dashing young leader back then. Now I am bearded, tired, and old.
And I was just a young commander, Enlil agreed, ready for the action of command and the thrill of adventure. Now I have children and grandchildren born on this foreign planet. But as old as I look and feel, my children who were born here look even older.
And they refer to me as the old cow, Ninhursag concurred.
While many of the other Anunnaki have rotated shifts here on Earth, coming and going, Enlil pondered, we have had to stay here the entire time. Maybe it's time for us to pack it in and head for home.
Yeah, sometimes I think about that too. But it seems that every time one of us has wished to return home, something always comes up to prevent it, I sighed. Soon after that conversation, it came to pass that Marduk paid me a visit, saying that it was a matter of great importance.
I wish to take a wife,
he informed me. I'm thrilled to hear it, my son, I rejoiced. Your mother will be equally proud.
Yeah, you may want to belay that. I heard concern in Marduk's voice.
What is wrong? Is it one of the young nurses at Ninhursag's facility that has stolen your heart? I asked.
Not exactly, he stammered. Guess again.
I have no idea. I was growing concerned.
I wish to marry an earthling, Marduk mumbled.
I was taken aback at Marduk's words. Come again? I stumbled. I don't believe I heard you right.
An earthling, you know, one of the beings that you created.
At first, I was speechless, but when the words finally came to me, I exploded. You are a firstborn son of Nibiru, in line for succession to the royal throne, and you can sit there and tell me that you want to marry an earthling?
If you think that's bad, just wait until you find out who.
Marduk was basically mocking me now. Dare I ask? My thoughts were racing.
Okay, well, yes, it's an earthling, but not just any earthling. She's one of your offspring.
Marduk was enjoying this irony just a little too much.
She is the daughter of Enki, who is a descendant of Adapa, who I believe was a descendant of yours, if I'm not mistaken.
I realized that I couldn't deal with this myself, so I summoned my wife Ninki to join us, and Marduk told her what he had just relayed to me.
When Enki journeyed with me into the heavens so that I could teach him of the solar system, something occurred to me.
My son pointed at me.
Your very own words got stuck in my head. If it wasn't for our longer lifespan, these earthlings are almost exactly like us. They learn quickly, they're as sharp as a tack, and I enjoy their company. And I have fallen in love with one of them. Serenpit, daughter of Enki, is her name.
This maiden, does she love you back? My wife calculated, searching her mind for the best way to handle this situation. But I could not hold back my concerns. That is not what is important here, I bellowed. If you go through with this marriage, you will never be able to bring her to Nibiru, and all your rights to the throne will be terminated.
And what rights are those, father? Marduk fired back at me. Enlil and his sons have kingship on Nibiru locked in for the next 1,000 shars or more. Even here on Earth, my power is questionable because of them. This is my decision to make, and mark my words, one day I shall rise from a prince to the master of this planet.
Let it be so, Ninki and I responded in unison. But when news of this decision reached the ears of Enlil, he was seized with fury.
It was one thing for Enki to have sex with humans, but it is a whole other matter for his son to marry one of them.
My brother bellowed. He wasted no time getting in contact with King Anu on Nibiru.
This has gone too far, he screamed at our father. You cannot allow this type of behavior to continue.
The king summoned all his counselors to discuss this urgent matter, but they could find no precedents for circumstances such as these. They raised the point that even Adapa had not been able to remain on Nibiru for very long, and Marduk had spent no time on Nibiru since he first came to Earth. Thus, his body clock was now synced to Earth's cycles as well. He might not be able to return to Nibiru now, even without marrying this Earth woman. Their conclusion was that he should forever be banned from returning to Nibiru and will forfeit all rights as a prince of the throne. Anu relayed the decision back to Earth. Marduk is allowed to marry the Earth woman, but he will no longer be a prince on Nibiru. The decision was accepted by Marduk and I, and even Enlil bowed to Anu's words.
I still say that this marriage is an abomination, Enlil demanded. As commander of Earth, It is my ruling that they shall not be allowed to reside here in the Eden. I don't want to have to look at them."
"Then, as a wedding gift, I suggest that we grant them their own domain in another land," I suggested. And Lil pondered my words thoughtfully.
"Where did you have in mind?" he responded.
"How about the land above my territory in South Africa?" I advised. "It borders the sea. It is far from the Eden, but not too far, and it can be reached by ship."
"So be it,"
my brother agreed. The wedding of Marduk and Serenpit was held in my home city of Eridu, and a grand affair it was. Many of the civilized earthlings attended, as to them the event felt more like a coronation with all of its splendor. The younger generations of Anunnaki born on Earth attended as well, as did a large contingent of Igigi from Lamu Mars. In fact, 2/3 of them came to Earth to celebrate this union. Over 200 by count. At that time, we thought nothing of it. They simply wanted to honor and celebrate their former leader's betrothal. But little did we know that they had an ulterior motive for attending. A vicious plot they were scheming. Before arriving on Earth, many of the Igigi met to organize their plans. "Why should Marduk be allowed to marry an Earthling, and we cannot?" they screamed. "We have suffered in loneliness for far too long." During their various trips to Earth through the years, the Igigi had seen the many beautiful Earth women, and they lusted for them. "Let us choose wives from among the Earthling females. Let us have children with them." The one named Shamgaz became their leader. "If there be any punishments for what we are about to do, I alone shall bear it for all of you," he stated. The throng of Igigi landed at the spaceport in the Cedar Mountains and made their way to Eridu for the wedding of Marduk and Serenpit. Together with the many Earthlings in attendance they were. After the ceremony, Shamgaz gave the prearranged signal, and each Igigi grabbed an Earthling female and brought them back to the spaceport, where a stronghold was set up. They then issued an ultimatum to the Anunnaki leadership. "We Igigi have suffered enough loneliness and deprivation. These Earthling women do we wish to marry. Either give us your blessing, or we shall destroy everything on Earth." The Anunnaki leaders were alarmed by these demands, and they quickly summoned Marduk to gain control over the Igigi that he had once commanded.
"Well, if you're asking me to take sides, I have to agree with the Igigi," Marduk announced. "If I was allowed to marry an Earthling, why should they be deprived?"
Ninhursag and I begrudgingly agreed with Marduk, but of course, Enlil was livid.
"It's just one sexual depravity after another with you people, isn't it? First Enki has sex with a couple human females, then Marduk marries one, and now the Igigi want to join the party. Not only our pride, but our sacred mission has been tossed to the wind. By our own deeds, this planet will soon be overrun with Earthlings. Take your Earthling females if that's what you want, but then get the hell off my planet."
"But conditions have become unbearable on Lamu Mars," Marduk screamed. "Habitation there is damn near impossible anymore. They won't survive."
"Fine," Enlil conceded. "Stay on Earth, but none of you human lovers are welcome in my Eden. Be gone with the lot of you."
Enlil stormed off, leaving the rest of us speechless. Hey gang, Mad Mark here, and by popular demand, I now have merch available. I've found the perfect company to work with, and they do an outstanding job. There are t-shirts and hoodies available right now, and who knows what I will come up with in the future. There are 2 different designs to choose from at the moment. You have this one, and this one. And these t-shirts and hoodies come in a variety of colors and sizes, so no matter what you're looking for, there's something for everybody. If you're watching this show right now on YouTube, you can find this merch by clicking the shop link below in the show description, or just pay a visit to www.madmarktv.com. That's the all-new Who Are the Aliens t-shirts and hoodies. Get yours today.
The Ijiji and their human wives were given land to occupy in the Cedar Mountains near the spaceport. Offspring were born unto them, and children of the rocket ships was the label they were given. Meanwhile, Marduk and Serenpit were also busy having children, and 2 sons, Esar and Satu, were born unto them. Eventually, Marduk invited any Ijiji who wished it to move into the lands of North Africa, which he and Serenpit had been granted on the day of their wedding. Some accepted Marduk's invitation, while Shamgaz and others decided to remain in the Cedar Mountains. But eventually their offspring moved even further east to start new lives there. Meanwhile, back in the Eden, Enlil and Ninurta were discussing the recent events concerning Enki and Marduk in Africa.
What are they doing down there? Enlil pondered. Inviting the Ijiji to move into their territory? I just know that they're up to something. But what is it? I must know.
Enlil sat staring down at his clasped hands.
So, it would seem that Enki and his clan wish for the earth to be taken over by earthlings, eh?
He stared at his son.
Then we should have some earthlings on our side, too, just in case. Here's what I want you to do. Go round up the offspring of Ka-In. Take them to the other side of the earth and set up a new domain there. Teach them everything. How to make tools, to smelt and refine metals, to make rafts from balsam trees, sturdy enough to cross a great sea if necessary. Everything you know, teach to them, and build a great city.
And that is where I will leave you for this episode. I hope you can agree that although I have covered this information before on past episodes, these in-depth details being provided by Enki are certainly more intense and a lot more informative. And you have quite a lot to digest there, and we have so much more to cover and learn. I'm Mad Mark, and I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed this episode. If so, please like, share, and comment. It helps so much. And please subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Also, please tell your friends and family and help spread the word about this program. If you have any questions regarding the content discussed here, just message me through madmarktv.com or on any of my social media platforms. Now, here's something of interest for those of you who may be artists, and I know that there are several of you out there. I am now taking submissions of artwork that I can use for my new line of merchandise. Yes, Mad Mark merch is here. Right now, I have many shirts for you to choose from, but I will undoubtedly be adding additional items in the future. If you're watching this program on YouTube, just click the store tab below and you can check them all out. Also, when you buy one of my shirts, please send me a photo of you wearing it. I want to feature them on my website eventually. But as I was saying, I need your artwork. So just draw something full color that has to do with the Anunnaki, such as the scenes you see behind me here on the program. Now, there's no money involved in this, but it's a great chance to have your artwork out where the public can see it. So get busy creating some cool works of art, and who knows, your work could be featured on future Who Are the Aliens merchandise. Send your submissions to me at www.madmarktv.com or on any of my social media accounts. I also have a special heads up for those of you who have Facebook accounts. I now offer a subscribers-only page on Facebook where for just 99 cents per month, you can watch each episode of the show right there on Facebook. It's a handy alternative to having to hassle with YouTube or Spotify to watch the program. And all of my past episodes are there as well. So it's pretty convenient for just 99 cents a month. If you're interested, there's a link down in the show notes. Lastly, I would like to remind everyone that listening to this program is no excuse to not read the book that we have been discussing here. It's The Lost Book of Enki by Zecharia Sitchin. It is an amazing work, and I am leaving out much information in order to keep the show flowing properly, so do yourselves a favor and read that book. Who Are the Aliens? The History of the Anunnaki on Planet Earth is written and produced by me, Mad Mark. Today we have taken another step in our ongoing journey to discover the truth. I promise you that things will get more and more interesting the further we delve into this topic of who are the aliens, the history of the Anunnaki on planet Earth. Peace to all of you, and remember to always walk in love. Bye for now.
You've been listening to Who Are the Aliens? The History of the Anunnaki on Planet Earth with your host, Mad Mark. Join us again on our next program when Mad Mark will once again uncover the answers to the mysteries that puzzle mankind.